Skill of the day. Today's skill of the day is going to be all around the handstand. Now this is something that some of us believe we will never get. Now I can tell you that much. If you believe you will never get it, then you will never do things, try new things in order to get there eventually. So what can you do? We're going to start with some very basic things and we're going to slowly but surely work our way up. So if you're one of those people that thinks you're never going to get a handstand walk or a handstand hold or even have the confidence to kick upside down, then what I want you to do is start from the very first one we're starting today and slowly work your way up. If you do this on something like a nice soft piece of grass, or if you have some of your family members that you reside with helping you or spotting you in some of these movements, that can go a long way to helping you build confidence. All right, so what's the first thing we're going to do? The first thing we're going to do is a hollowed push-up hold. That is it. So with a hollowed push-up hold, what we need to focus on is as we push down into the ground, we almost roll the shoulders out and we really press down into the ground. Then also what we want to do with our hips is squeeze our glute and tuck our hips under so it keeps that nice hollowed position throughout our body. So from here, I'm going to press down into the floor and I'm going to tuck my hips under. All right, now from this position, I can start getting the feeling of transitioning to one hand. So I can start transitioning onto one hand and doing shoulder taps from the floor. That's going to take a lot of pressure off from doing it upside down. And it's also a very safe way to start getting that feeling of transitioning your weight from one hand to the other. If that is really, really easy for you, then what you can do is you can start to incline that movement. So to do this, we can either do it from the wall, so we can place our hands down into the floor, we find that hollowed position, and we start transitioning from here. We can also do it from something like a height, like a stack of weight plates here. Or a box, and we can put our feet up onto the box. Obviously, the higher you go, the more it's going to mimic coming into that handstand or handstand walking. Eventually, what we're trying to do is kick up onto the wall and then do shoulder taps from the wall. So let's revisit where we've gone so far. We've gone shoulder taps from a push-up position, shoulder taps from an elevated position, to shoulder taps from the wall. So let's have a look at what they look like. We again press down into the floor, squeeze the glute. From there, my right hand will come up, touch into my left shoulder, and vice versa. All right, that can be quite tricky even if you do have handstand walking, because it puts all that pressure down onto one hand and we're taking the hand off the ground for quite an extended period of time. But that's really going to help you get the confidence that you can balance all your weight out onto one arm. What can we do after we've mastered the shoulder taps? All right, from there, if you've mastered the shoulder taps, but you're still not confident kicking upside down with nothing there to save you, then what we can do is we can kick up onto the wall and aim not to touch the wall. So as we kick up, we're going to aim not to touch a wall, but don't worry, you're very safe because the wall is there to save you. So as we kick up, we try to come just before the wall. Now, if you can get even closer to the wall and balance there or gently touch the wall so you know that's exactly where your pivot point is, then you're ready to move on to the next stage, and that is doing a freestanding handstand. So for a freestanding handstand, a couple of things. Number one is if you do it on something soft, like have a mattress there if you're in your house, or if you're doing it on the nice soft grass, if you fall over onto your back, it's going to be funny. It's not going to hurt whatsoever. If you did it in somewhere like this, when I have a wooden platform there, it could tickle a little bit. So just be careful on the environment you choose when you're kicking up to a handstand for the very first time. If you have some friends or family members that you reside with, remembering our isolation rules, our rules about keeping our distance, social distancing. So if you have someone, what they can do is they can have one hand out as a blocker and they kick up into your hand and you can balance them and then they can get that feeling for the balance point. That's kind of like what we did with the wall first anyway. And then if you're ready to kick up into a handstand, a couple of things. What we want to achieve is, again, that pressing down into the floor. Now, I would rather you not kick too hard and come back down onto your feet, so it gives you that sense of confidence. So let's have a look at what that would look like. I get one leg up and commit one leg straight away, and then the other leg acts as that little pendulum or balance point. So I kick one leg up, then the other leg I can bring up when I feel like it. So that's what I want you to practice first. Get one leg up, we keep our legs really straight, pressing into the ground. And then when the legs come together, then we're going to try and balance there. All right, let's see how long you can hold that for. If you can give that about 2 or 3 seconds, then we can move into handstand walking. All right, so handstand walking. Before you walk, you need to fall. That even goes from our feet. In order for me to walk on my feet, I need to fall first. I need to pivot or lean forward from the ankle in order to then walk forward. Exactly the same thing needs to happen when we're handstand walking. You need to kick up into a handstand. You need to just be falling forwards before you then put your hand out in order to save you and start walking forward. So that is the final piece, is walking on your hands. So, couple of things. We want to kick one leg up first, followed by the other leg. That will help you find where that balance point is. From there, once we feel ourselves start to fall, then we can move the hands and not before. So that is a common fault. We get a little bit flustered as soon as we get up, and before we start falling, we put our hand out in front, and obviously that will just make us fall back to the floor. So be patient before you move your hands. So we kick up first,